Welcome back, Shalloners, and welcome, LOVATO'S. Today, we're going to talk about Demi Lovato and why I'm kind of worried for her that maybe her sobriety isn't going super well, and more importantly, what we can learn about victim mentality, facing our fears, and getting over our past and moving forward, right? Because that's what we do in this channel here at the Shallon Garage. But first, just want to remind you guys, if you have a question of your own that you want to ask me and chit chat privately, find me on the Instant Go app. My username is ShallonXO, and click chat to get connected right away. Also find me on Instagram at ShallonXO, and be sure to listen to my brand new podcast, Girl on Top, every place that podcasts are found. So why are we talking about Demi? Well, she's kind of popped up in the news like in the last few days because, as we know, she had a very unfortunate drug overdose a little while ago. But she says she's back now and she's recording some music. But she's also doing some shady things in terms of liking and unliking photos. Now, she's off Twitter, but she's still on Instagram. And a photo came up of her ex, Wilmer Valderrama, who's in Paris hanging out with the Jonas Brothers, basically, ahead of Joe and Sophie Turner's second wedding. And people are like, fuck a fake friend. Like, all of Demi's stans are like, oh my God, how could they all be hanging out? It's so... And apparently she liked and then unliked the photo. I love a petty unlike. I do it. There's this girl I hate from high school, and if she pops up in my other friends' photos, but I automatically like it, boop, unlike. And then I text all the girls to let them know that that's what I did. I just need people to know that I'm being petty. So apparently Demi's a girl after my own heart. Love it. And so people are thinking she's mad about this and that she's mad at Wilmer and she's mad at the Jonas Brothers. And I was like, that seems like kind of a bridge too far, whatever. Why would she care? Well, then she released a little quote on her own Instagram page that says, you know what's great about making an album? I love this sarcastic opening. You get to say anything you want, be as open and honest as possible, and finally tell your side of the story, regardless of who might not like it. And herein lies why I'm afraid her sobriety struggle is not going very well. Because this to me seems like a person stuck in the past. This to me seems like a person who's going to make basically a copy of Taylor Swift's disastrous Reputation album. I mean, it wasn't disastrous, but it wasn't great. It had very bad critical and performance. It wasn't the Taylor that we love. It was petty Taylor. And over the line petty, and just unrelatably petty. And I worry that this is exactly the kind of album Demi is going to make. And how does that relate to her sobriety? Because we can't change what we don't acknowledge, right? I say this all the time. And again, how does this relate to Demi? Because if she's focused on all the bad things people have done to her, she's not acknowledging what she's done to her. That's a victim mentality, a big throbbing victim Taylor Swiftian mentality. And it's you can't be healing yourself and moving forward and feeling in control of your life and your sobriety while also blaming the entire rest of the world for everything bad that's ever happened to you. Those two things do not walk hand in hand. You really do have to choose. You can't look ahead and behind at the same time. I'm either going to focus on my future and let things go and keep it moving, or I'm constantly going to be looking over my shoulder and trying to get revenge. It's like the saying goes, when you plan for revenge, you dig two graves, yours and theirs, because you bury yourself under the past and all of this drama right along with them. So this tells me that maybe she's not taking a lot of good hard looks in the mirror. And this actually jives with what I've always heard about her. And yes, I'm going to bring it up again. I used to be a gossip editor. I know you guys are sick of hearing it, but if you're new to this channel, you don't know that. And I'm just some person talking. But we had, so many sources, so many sources that said over and over, Demi has never been sober. She didn't break her sobriety. She maybe at one point broke her binge and was sober for a day. And that's what she means. She just got it backwards. But she has never really been sober. And she's always sort of romanticized the idea of joining the 27 Club. You know what that is? Jim Morrison was 27 when he died. Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse, I think James Dean was. It's for some reason, people died, all these celebrities die at 27. And she's that's going to be me. And that's really fucking twisted and cruel to people who love her and her family. Dying is not romantic. It's terrible, and it's frustrating that she might be romanticizing that. And if she is, it would stand to reason why she's not taking sobriety seriously. She's mythologized this like romantic idea, just like going out in a blaze of glory. That is not how death works, okay? It's not glorious. Overdosing on drugs is not a glorious way to die. So I can't help but wonder if she's sort of been fleecing people this whole time. And so what can we take from this? Because look, Demi stands, before you come for me, I don't really care one way or the other. Like, if she's sober, if she's an addict, my day, the sun rises and sets no matter what. I still make money. I don't care. So, like, don't come for me, and like, please channel the energy you would use to maybe do something beneficial for yourself. If nothing else, just listen to the rest of this video and think, maybe I could actually get something out of this. Because yeah, victim mentality. We talk a lot about that. And today I want to talk not just about victim mentality, but how it relates to friendships. Because what a lot of people have been saying on the internet, like, I don't know how her like stans latched onto this idea, but they're like, if you weren't there for Demi when she was at her lowest, don't try to come back into her life now. And it was really interesting to me. Like, this is like a big wave of people saying this. And basically like, now that she's back on her feet, everyone's like, oh, we were always rooting for you, Demi. But like, where were they when she was overdosing? And all the people who did abandon her are fake, AKA Wilmer Valderrama, the Jonas Brothers, on and on and on. Probably Selena Gomez, Miley, maybe even Taylor Swift, like that whole crew. And at first I was like, yeah, people shouldn't just abandon you. But people should abandon a liar. People should abandon a liar. And they should abandon someone who's not advocating for themselves, who is instead pointing the finger. It's everyone else's fault. It's everyone else's responsibility. I said in another video that unconditional love is the most manipulative thing someone can expect of you, because it's horseshit. I love my mama unconditionally and any sort of animal that I would ever own. But people, it's like, no, dude, there's a million things you could do to lose my love and my respect and my time and my empathy and my attention. A million. So don't try it. And if people say, it's like, well, you weren't there for me when I was at rock bottom. It's like, well, were you there for yourself? And how many times did you hit a rock bottom, and why? There's rock bottoms that life foists upon you. You lose your job. It's a war. You're a refugee. You're homeless. Someone gets sick. You have cancer. Obviously, that's a different scenario than I'm a purposeful drug addict who not only isn't taking my sobriety seriously, I lie about it to get attention, to victimize myself, to enable me and those around me to keep enabling me to keep on doing it because I prefer this lifestyle. That is someone that you are perfectly okay to abandon. Because I get a lot of questions from you guys about wanting to fix. I want to fix my mom. I want to fix my best friend in this toxic relationship she's in. I want to fix the fuckboy, right? That's obviously the biggest one. I want to love him back to life. Oh, he's not following through on the dates that he sets because he has depression. Okay. Don't make their problem your problem. Because you know what you already actually have? Your own problems. And I don't believe that I've ever heard of any sort of prize given out at the end of your life or at any point in your life for martyrdom, for wasting your life focusing on other people's problems instead of your own. I just realized the irony of saying that because that's literally what I do for a living. I try to help you guys, but like I'm your little pseudo therapist, like I'm trying to help. But I don't go down a rabbit hole with just one person. I'm like, I can fix you. I can't. You can't. Demi Lovato is focusing on other people and pointing the finger at other people so she doesn't have to work on herself, And that's a very common strategy that we all employ. And if you're in this constant role of, I always date these broken guys, I always have friends who just take from me, I always want to fix people, you're drawn into these dynamics so that you don't have to fix yourself, right? I always think of Pete Wentz because I've always thought Pete Wentz was the ultimate, like, he's changed, but for so long, he was the ultimate Captain Save-A-Ho. He loved a broken bitch, loved a broken bird. And it was like he was doing that so he didn't have to work on himself. And that fed his like creativity. He had romanticized the idea of like, it's a struggle and there's drama and there's sadness and I'm so emo. But like that worked for him professionally, but then it runs out and it stops working privately. And you're like, this is just exhausting and I am getting nothing out of this. So my advice to you is basically the same advice I have to Demi. Like, it's so much easier in the long run to address what it is you're running away from. Because running away is exhausting. It's exhausting, right? Running away from anything, from the dreams you want to go after, but you're afraid or ashamed, you feel like they're not going to come true. Running away from a trauma. So, okay, let me just anesthetize it with alcohol or drugs or boys or shopping or cheese or whatever. Running away from whatever that emotional splinter is. And instead of pulling it out, I always talk about the splinter, instead of pulling it out, it's going to be an ouchie, but it's going to be an ouchie in service of healing. Right now, you just have an ouchie, an bottomless ouchie. And so you're trying to get that anesthesia by fixing someone else's ouchie. Think of it in a physical sense. Let's extend that metaphor. You break your arm, someone else has a broken arm on the other side of the ER. Does putting them in a cast fix your arm? No, it doesn't. They need to worry about their arm. You need to worry about yours. We understand that in a physical sense, right? That makes perfect sense. Of course, why would I do that? Why would I go put them in a cast thinking it's going to fix my arm? It's nice to help someone else, but it doesn't solve my problems, right? And I can only go and help that other person if I am whole. If I'm whole, that's fine. I'll go and help somebody else. But if I am broken in a very similar way, then I'm not going to be able to do anything for that person. We each need our own help. And then when we're both whole, we can come together and be two halves of a whole, right? I say that a lot too. You can't be half of a whole if you don't know which half you are. And this brings me to another thing Demi's doing, jumping into relationships. Do you remember that dude she dated right after she got out of rehab, a fellow drug addict? And I think he was like an ex-con or something like that. Like he had bleached hair. That alone. If you're a grown man over like, there is no age that's appropriate, but you're a grown man and you're bleaching your hair, you're going through some shit and you need to not be in a relationship. And that's like a huge rule of addiction and recovery is do not partner up with someone because you don't know what half you are, right? And you don't need their half influencing you or doing what I've been talking about, trying to save them so you don't have to work on yourself. Let's put their arm in a cast. Ooh, I don't want to. It's going to be painful. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. And that only keeps you sick. So then we have to ask ourselves, well, why is Demi doing this? Why? I think a huge reason is fame. You know, she's getting an emotional payout from this victimhood, this victim mentality. And we see this on all of our non-famous people in our life too, right? The guy, he's too depressed. He can't do anything. Oh, so is that why you go over there and suck his dick? Oh, even though he doesn't take you on dates or really text you back and you initiate everything and bend your schedule around him. So yeah, I'd say that strategy is working great for him. What about your friend who's the drama queen? Oh, you go to bottomless brunch and all Jamie can talk about is the latest fuckboy and blah, blah, blah. And she's crying. It's like, here we go again. But she got the attention she wanted. A lot of people, they don't care if attention is positive or negative. They can't differentiate it and they don't give a shit. Attention is attention. Fuel is fuel. And so we need to look at our own lives and be like, am I being a little Demi-ish lately? And the answer is always going to be yes. Like we all default to victimhood at times, for sure. It's a coping mechanism. It gets people to protect us. We get attention. We get out of things and blame. But if this is chronic, if there's some Demi-ness and stands, if you're here ready to storm my apartment with pitchforks, first of all, I ain't as sweet as I look. So feel free to come for me on the internet or IRL. I don't really care which. See why this person resonates so much with you, you know? Because fairy tales resonate with people for very specific reasons. I actually took a class in fairy tales in college, super useful, but it was really interesting because they're fairy tales people connect with them, children connect with them for very deep, deep reasons. And if you can identify why this kid is really in this fairy tale, absolutely don't point it out because it will be humiliating and will give them a complex. Isn't that interesting? But I think our crushes on celebrities and our celebrity fandom is the same thing because these people sort of exist like a fairy tale, like a cartoon character, a figure that is similar to us, but just beyond the realm of relatability, because they live such a different life, but just similar enough. So why do you love Demi? And she's talented. Of course she's talented. Almost everyone in Hollywood in that sphere is talented. But there's something else. If you're making excuses for her, why? The things we hate in other people are the things we hate in ourselves. And I think the things we want to protect in other people, they're broken and let me help them, are maybe the things that are broken inside of us too, right? Maybe. And maybe you don't have a Stan account for Demi Lovato or whoever. Maybe this is like you have one friend that you orient around, and if you don't take the bait every single time she throws it, like I definitely had two friends like that. One was an alcoholic and one was her complete enabler. And I was like, I did have to cut them out because it was that unconditional love thing that they expected. And I was like, no, this is chaos to me. And I am broken in certain ways and I identify with people in those same broken ways, but I wasn't broken in this way. Like alcoholics and addicts, I'm like, and my enabler friend, one of her parents was an alcoholic. So it's like, well, that's why, For me, I was like, none of this makes sense to me and it's not familiar to me. And so I don't have a connection to it. I'm just annoyed. So if there are people in your life that you feel this like hyper connection, protectiveness over, like ask yourself why. And then ask yourself how you could be addressing that issue in yourself. You're in the ER, they got a broken arm, you got one too. In order to be helpful, you have to help yourself first. And hopefully Demi Lovato will help herself first and not make some god-awful diss track of an album. Girl, move on. Just move on. I'll still download it. For more, click like and subscribe for new videos every other day and as news breaks. And like I said, find me on Insta at ShallonXO. And if you have a love question of your own or anything else you want to talk about privately, find me on the Instant Go app. My username is ShallonXO and click chat to get connected. And be sure to check out my podcast,